The sky above California was clear and dark. Lily Martinez adjusted her telescope at the mountain observatory. Her eyes were tired from hours of watching the stars. Then she saw it, a flash near Jupiter that shouldn't be there. "Jack, come look at this," she called to her colleague. Jack Peterson hurried over, his coffee almost spilling. "What did you find?" "Something's moving near Jupiter, too fast for a natural object." Jack looked through the telescope and frowned. "That's not one of our ships." They recorded the strange lights for 3 hours. The objects changed direction in ways satellites and debris couldn't. By morning, they had enough data to show their boss. Director Alan Wright listened to their findings in his office. The windows showed the mountains outside, but his attention was on the computer screen. "You're sure this isn't equipment error?" he asked. "We checked everything twice," Lily said. "Something is coming toward Earth." Director Wright picked up his phone. "I need to make some calls." 2 days later, Lily and Jack sat in a large meeting room at a military base. Men and women in uniforms and suits filled the space. General Susan Parker stood at the front, her gray hair pulled back tightly. "As of 600 hours, we confirmed the objects are artificial and of non-Earth origin," she said. "There are 12 large ships and approximately 50 smaller vessels approaching our solar system." A tall woman with short blonde hair stood up. "I'm Dr. Kate Miller, cynobiologist. Based on our analysis, these ships appear to be from a star system about 20 light-years away. We've been monitoring radio signals from that region for years." Major Gray Howard, a muscular man with a serious expression, pointed to the screen showing the ship's path. "Their formation suggests military organization. We should assume hostile intent." Just then, every screen in the room flickered. A face appeared. At least, it looked somewhat like a face. The being had a wide, flat head with 3 yellow eyes in a triangle pattern. Its skin was pale blue and seemed to ripple slightly. "People of Earth," the being said in oddly accented English, "I am Fleet Commander Zorax of the Nelvarian Empire. Your world has been chosen for liberation. Your primitive society will benefit from our superior guidance. Prepare for our arrival in 7 of your Earth days." The screens returned to normal. The room erupted in voices. "How did they hack our systems?" someone shouted. "They have technology far beyond ours," Dr. Miller said. General Parker slammed her hand on the table. "Everyone quiet. We need to plan, not panic." In space, aboard the Nelvarian command ship, Fleet Commander Zorax looked at the holographic display of Earth. His thin, long fingers moved through the image, studying the blue and green planet. "Chief Scientist Melix, what are your findings?" Zorax asked. Melix, shorter than Zorax, but with the same blue skin, displayed data charts. "The planet has rich resources. The atmosphere is compatible with our breathing. The native species appears to have basic technology, but nothing that can threaten our ships. And the gravity? Higher than our homeworld, but our exoskeletons will compensate. Our soldiers have trained in simulators." Zorax nodded, his middle eye blinking slowly. "Prepare the first landing party. We'll start with a small area to establish our base." Back on Earth, governments around the world secretly prepared. Military bases buzzed with activity. Scientists worked day and night analyzing the limited data they had on the alien ships. In her lab, Dr. Miller studied the alien transmission. "Their physical structure suggests they evolved on a low-gravity planet," she told Major Howard. "Look at how thin their limbs are, how their movements seem almost floating." "How much could that help us?" he asked. "I'm not sure yet, but if they come from a world with significantly lower gravity than Earth, they might find our conditions challenging." As the sun set on the 7th day, people around the world looked up at the sky with fear. Most civilians didn't know what was coming, but military forces everywhere stood ready. The invasion of Earth was about to begin. But Earth's gravity was waiting, an invisible force that had shaped all life on the planet. a force the aliens had gravely underestimated. On the Nelvarian homeworld, soldiers prepared for war. Their training facility was a large dome with special machines that created what the scientists claimed was Earth-like gravity. The soldiers wore their new exoskeletons and practiced walking. "This is harder than I expected," said squad leader Krelv as he lifted his weapon. The training gravity was only half of Earth's actual pull, but the Nelvarians didn't know this. Their scientists had made a serious mistake in their calculations. Fleet Commander Zorax watched from an observation deck. "Are the troops ready?" he asked Chief Scientist Melix. "Yes, Commander. They have trained for weeks in these conditions. Their exoskeletons will help them move normally on Earth." Zorax nodded, pleased. "Show me the invasion map again." A hologram appeared showing Earth. Bright spots marked landing zones in Australia, Russia, Africa, and the American Midwest. "We will begin with a small force in Australia," Melix explained. "The area has low population density but good resources. Once we establish our base, we will expand to these other locations." Back on Earth, the world's governments had formed a United Defense Council. General Susan Parker stood before representatives from 50 countries. "The alien fleet has positioned itself behind the moon," she said. "We expect the first attack within 48 hours. A man in a Russian military uniform spoke up. "Our missiles are ready, but can they even reach the alien ships?" "Probably not," General Parker admitted. "But we have to try everything." In her lab, Dr. Kate Miller worked with engineer Paul Harrison. They examined data from deep space scans of the alien fleet. "Look at their ship designs," Dr. Miller said, pointing to structural elements. "The materials are lightweight, the support structures minimal. Everything about them suggests adaptation to low gravity." Paul nodded. "Their home planet might have gravity as low as 1/3 of Earth's. That could be our advantage." Major Gray Howard entered the lab carrying a tablet. "Dr. Miller, we need your input on defense strategies. If these aliens really are from a low-gravity world, how might we use that against them?" Dr. Miller thought for a moment. "Their muscles would be weaker. Their cardiovascular system's not designed for our gravity. They'll tire quickly here. So we let them land," Major Howard said slowly. "And then we exhaust them." "It might be our best chance," she replied. At NASA, Lily Martinez hadn't slept in days. She and Jack Peterson monitored all communications from space, hoping to learn more about the invaders. "I've been analyzing their transmission patterns," Lily said. "There's something odd about them." Jack looked over her shoulder at the computer screen. "What did you find?" "Their signals contain data about movement calculations. Look at these numbers. They're constantly adjusting for something. I think they're having trouble adapting to our gravity, even in space." Jack's eyes widened. "We need to tell General Parker immediately." On the dark side of the moon, the Nelvarian fleet prepared for the first assault. 12 large warships and 50 smaller troop carriers hovered silently. Inside one of the troop carriers, soldiers checked their equipment. "Remember your training," Squad Leader Krelv told his unit. "The exoskeletons will help you move, and your weapons are designed to work in the higher gravity." The soldiers nodded, nervous but excited. They had conquered 3 other planets, and Earth would be their greatest prize yet. Fleet Commander Zorax sent a message to all ships. "The first wave will deploy in 6 hours. Our target is the region they call Australian Outback. Once we secure the landing zone, the main force will follow." In Australia, Colonel Frank Williams of the Australian Defence Force positioned his troops in the outback. They hid among rocks and sparse trees, waiting. "Remember," he told his soldiers, "we don't know what weapons they have. Stay in cover and observe first. Report everything you see." As night fell across Australia, strange lights appeared in the sky. The first Nelvarian ships entered Earth's atmosphere, their hulls glowing red from the heat of entry. The invasion had begun, but Earth's gravity was waiting, an invisible and patient warrior that had shaped all life on the planet for billions of years. The first Nelvarian ship landed in the Australian outback. The red dust swirled around it as the door slowly opened. Earth's morning sun shone on the metal ramp extending to the ground. Colonel Frank Williams watched through binoculars from 2 miles away. His soldiers lay hidden among rocks and behind small hills. "Hold positions," he said into his radio. "Let them come out first." The first alien appeared in the doorway. It wore a metal exoskeleton over its blue skin. The alien took 1 step onto the ramp and immediately stumbled. It grabbed the side rail to steady itself. More aliens appeared behind it. They moved very slowly down the ramp, each step careful and heavy. When they reached the bottom, they spread out around their ship. Their movements were awkward, like people walking in thick mud. "They can barely move," whispered a soldier next to Colonel Williams. "Look at how they're struggling with their weapons," said another. The aliens carried what looked like rifles, but they held them low, as if the weapons were too heavy. One alien tried to lift its weapon to scan the horizon, but the motion was slow and shaky. On the Nelvarian command ship, Fleet Commander Zorax watched the video feed with horror. "What is happening? Why are they moving like that?" he demanded. Chief Scientist Melix stared at the screen, his 3 eyes blinking rapidly. "The gravity must be stronger than our calculations showed. Much stronger. Fix it. Send them better exoskeletons." "It's not just the exoskeletons, Commander. Their bodies aren't adapted to this gravity. Their muscles, their bones, their internal organs. Everything is being strained." In the outback, Squad Leader Krell felt like his body was being crushed. Each step took enormous effort. His lungs burned as they worked harder to breathe. "Spread out and secure the area," he ordered his troops. But the simple task that would have taken minutes on their homeworld was taking much longer on Earth. One Nelvarian soldier tried to jump over a small rock. On their home planet, he could have easily leaped 10 feet in the air. Here, he barely cleared the rock and landed hard, his legs buckling under him. He fell to the ground and couldn't get up. Colonel Williams saw enough. "All units, engage the aliens. Remember, non-lethal capture if possible. We need prisoners to study." Australian soldiers moved forward, using the terrain for cover. They fired warning shots first. The aliens tried to return fire, but their aim was terrible. Their weapons, designed for their world's lower gravity, were too heavy to hold steady. When they did fire, the recoil knocked several of them off balance. "They can't even shoot straight," a soldier said in amazement. Within 20 minutes, the Australian forces had surrounded the aliens. 5 Nelvarians had collapsed from exhaustion. The others could barely lift their weapons. Squad Leader Krelv knew they were defeated. "We surrender," he said into his communication device, which translated his words into English. Colonel Williams approached cautiously. "Put down your weapons." The aliens gladly dropped their heavy guns. On the command ship, Zorax watched in disbelief. His elite advance team, captured without inflicting a single casualty on the humans. "This is impossible," he said. "Commander," Melix said quietly, "I believe we made a serious error. Earth's gravity is approximately 3 times stronger than our home planet. Our soldiers simply cannot function effectively there." Zorax slammed his fist on the console. "Why wasn't this discovered earlier? Our instruments measured the gravity correctly, but we assumed the readings were in error. No inhabited planet we've encountered before had gravity this intense." Back on Earth, Dr. Kate Miller arrived in Australia to examine the captured aliens. She watched as they were carefully transported to a secure facility. "They can barely stand up," she told Major Howard over video call. "Their cardiovascular systems are struggling. Their muscles are too weak. Earth's gravity is like a natural defense system against them." Major Howard nodded. "If their whole species is like this, we may have a chance after all." As night fell over Australia, the remaining Nelvarian ships hovered uncertainly in the sky. The first battle of the invasion was over. Earth had won without firing a shot. Fleet Commander Zorax called an emergency meeting on the command ship. The leaders of all 12 warships gathered in the large meeting room. Holograms of the failed Australia landing played on screens around them. "This is unacceptable," Zorax said, his voice sharp with anger. "An elite squad defeated without firing a successful shot. The gravity is the problem," Chief Scientist Melix explained. "It's 3 times stronger than our homeworld. Our soldiers simply cannot function effectively there." Captain Drilln, commander of the 3rd warship, spoke up. "Can we adjust the exoskeletons? Make them stronger?" "We can try," Melix said. "But there are biological limits. Their hearts are working too hard. Their lungs can't get enough oxygen. Their muscles tear under the strain." Zorax paced back and forth. "The High Command expects results. We cannot return home in defeat." "We could bombard them from orbit," suggested another captain. "No," Zorax said. "The High Command wants this planet intact. Its resources are too valuable." Back on Earth, governments worldwide announced the alien presence to the public. Initial panic gave way to cautious hope as videos of the Australian encounter spread. In a press conference, General Susan Parker stood before reporters. "The alien force that landed in Australia has been contained. Their biology makes them vulnerable to Earth's gravity. We are united globally to defend our planet." Dr. Kate Miller worked with a team of scientists studying the captured aliens. In a secure lab, they examined the Nelvarian exoskeletons. "Their technology is advanced," she told Paul Harrison, "but designed for a completely different environment. Look at these joints. They're too delicate for our gravity." Paul studied the alien equipment. "Maybe we can use their own technology against them." Meanwhile, Major Gray Howard trained Special Forces teams around the world. In a gymnasium in Colorado, he demonstrated fighting techniques. "They move slowly here," he explained to the soldiers. "Use quick, short movements. They can't track you well. Their balance is poor. A simple leg sweep will take them down." The soldiers practiced, imagining their opponents as the aliens they'd seen in videos. In New York, the United Nations held an emergency session. World leaders gathered to discuss the alien threat. "We must remain united," said the Secretary General. "This is not a threat to one nation, but to all humanity." Countries that had been enemies for decades now shared military information and resources. Scientists collaborated across borders. A global defense network formed within days. Lily Martinez and Jack Peterson continued monitoring alien communications at NASA. "They're arguing," Lily said, listening to translated Nelvarian transmissions. "Some want to retreat. Others want to continue the invasion." "What do you think they'll do?" Jack asked. "I think they're too proud to give up easily. They'll try again, but differently." On the Nelvarian command ship, Melix presented new designs to Commander Zorax. "We've reinforced the exoskeletons," he explained. "They now provide much more support, and we've developed a drug that temporarily strengthens the soldiers' cardiovascular systems." "Will it be enough?" Zorax asked. "It should help them function better. Not as well as on our world, but better than before." Zorax nodded. "Prepare for the second wave. This time we attack multiple locations simultaneously. They cannot defend everywhere at once." The new invasion plan appeared on the screen. Red dots marked landing zones in northern Russia, Central Africa, and the American Midwest. "We will send larger forces this time," Zorax said. "With the improved exoskeletons and drugs, we should overwhelm their defenses." On Earth, Dr. Miller examined blood samples from the alien prisoners. She noticed they were struggling more each day. "Their bodies are deteriorating," she told Major Howard over a secure video call. "The constant strain of our gravity is causing cumulative damage. Their muscles are tearing. Their bone density is insufficient. So time is on our side," Howard replied. "Yes, but they're smart. They'll adapt their strategy. We need to be ready for anything." As dawn broke across Russia, Africa, and America, military forces moved into position. Radar stations detected new ships entering Earth's atmosphere. The second wave of the invasion was about to begin. The Nelvarian ships descended through Earth's atmosphere. This time, 50 ships landed across 3 continents. In Kansas, huge silver vessels touched down in wheat fields. In northern Russia, they landed on the frozen tundra. In Central Africa, they settled on grassy plains. The new exoskeletons looked bulkier than before. The aliens moved better this time, but still slowly compared to humans. They set up defensive positions around their ships, ready for battle. In Kansas, National Guard units watched from a distance. Captain Olivia Rodriguez used binoculars to study the aliens. "They're moving better than the ones in Australia did," she told her soldiers. "But look, they're still taking breaks every few minutes. They get tired fast." She formed her plan. "We won't attack directly. We'll make them chase us. The longer they move in our gravity, the weaker they'll get." Her soldiers spread out in small groups. They fired from a distance, then quickly moved to new positions. The aliens tried to follow but couldn't move fast enough. In Russia, the temperature was below freezing. General Dmitri watched the aliens struggle with both gravity and cold. "Their home planet must be warmer than ours," he told his officers. "The cold makes their movement even worse." The Russian forces used the harsh conditions to their advantage. They were used to the cold and knew the terrain. The aliens shivered in their exoskeletons, their movements becoming stiffer as the hours passed. In Africa, Commander Jabari led forces from several nations. They used the tall grass and trees for cover. "Make them work," he ordered. "Every step they take in this gravity weakens them." His soldiers drew the aliens into rough terrain, up hills, and across streams. The aliens quickly tired. Their breathing labored inside their helmets. On the Nelvarian command ship, Zorax received reports from all 3 invasion sites. "The improved exoskeletons are helping," reported a field commander from Kansas. "But the soldiers still tire quickly. The humans are using hit-and-run tactics. They won't stand and fight." "The same in Russia," came another report. "And the cold is making things worse. Our equipment is freezing." "Africa is no better," said the third commander. "The humans know their terrain. They're making us chase them over difficult ground." Zorax's frustration grew. "Send in the reserve forces. We must establish our bases." Chief Scientist Melix looked worried. "Commander, the soldiers are already taking maximum doses of the strengthening drug. Their bodies can't handle more." "I don't care. Send them in." On Earth, Lily Martinez and Jack Peterson monitored the battles from NASA. "The aliens are pushing harder now," Lily said, watching satellite images. "They're sending in more troops." "But look," Jack pointed at the screen. "The first wave is already retreating to their ships. They're exhausted." In her lab, Dr. Kate Miller received new information from the battlefields. "The alien soldiers can only fight for about 2 hours before needing to rest," she told Major Howard. "Their cardiovascular systems simply can't handle the strain of our gravity, even with their drugs and exoskeletons." Major Howard smiled. "Then we keep them moving. Wear them down." In Kansas, Captain Rodriguez saw new aliens emerging from the ships. These ones moved even more awkwardly. "They've sent in untrained reserves," she told her troops. "Keep moving. Don't let them rest." By nightfall, the aliens had managed to establish small secure areas around their ships, but they had failed to expand beyond that. Hundreds of Nelvarian soldiers had collapsed from exhaustion. Many others had been captured. In a secure facility in Geneva, world leaders met to discuss the battles. "We're holding them off," General Parker reported, "but they still have more ships in orbit. We need to take the fight to them." "How?" asked several leaders at once. "Dr. Miller and her team have been studying the alien technology. Paul Harrison has an idea." Paul stood up, nervous but determined. "We can use their own ships against them, the ones we've captured in Australia. If we can get to their command ship, we may be able to end this." The room fell silent as they considered this dangerous plan. In space, Commander Zorax received more bad news. A full day of fighting, and the Nelvarians held only tiny portions of Earth's surface. Worse, many soldiers were showing signs of permanent physical damage from the gravity. "We underestimated these humans," he admitted quietly. "And we underestimated their planet." Dr. Kate Miller and Paul Harrison worked day and night in a laboratory underneath the Australian desert. Around them sat pieces of alien technology. They had taken apart the exoskeletons from captured Nelvarians. "Look at this," Kate said, pointing to a small device. "This is what powers their exoskeletons. If we can disrupt it, their suits will stop working." Paul examined the device closely. "I think I can build something that interferes with its signal." They worked for hours, connecting wires and testing frequencies. Finally, Paul held up a small black box with an antenna. "This should do it," he said. "When activated, it should disable any exoskeleton within 50 yards. Kate smiled. "Let's test it." They brought in a captured exoskeleton. Paul turned on the device. The exoskeleton's lights flickered and went dark. "It works," Kate exclaimed. "We need to make hundreds of these immediately." Meanwhile, Major Gray Howard prepared a special team for a daring mission. 20 soldiers trained with captured alien weapons in a secret facility. "Our mission is to infiltrate the Nelvarian forward base in Nebraska," Howard told them. "We'll use their own technology against them." The soldiers practiced moving in simulated alien ships. They learned how to operate alien computers and weapons. Everything was different from human technology, but they adapted quickly. At NASA, Lily Martinez made an important discovery. She burst into Jack Peterson's office, excited. "I found it," she said. "I know where their command ship is." Jack looked up from his computer. "Where?" "It's hiding behind the moon. Always staying on the far side, so we can't see it from Earth. But I tracked their communication signals. I have its exact location." Jack immediately called General Parker. This information could change everything. In Geneva, world leaders approved a bold plan. Earth would not just defend, it would attack. "We will use the captured alien ships from Australia," General Parker explained. "A small team will fly to the Nelvarian command ship. They will plant the disruptor devices Paul Harrison created. This will disable their technology." "Is this possible?" asked the Secretary General. "Yes," Parker said confidently. "Our pilots have been practicing with the alien ships. They can fly them now." Across the world, human forces prepared for a coordinated assault on all Nelvarian positions. They had built thousands of the disruptor devices. Each military unit received several. In Kansas, Captain Rodriguez briefed her troops. "Once the disruptors activate, their exoskeletons will fail. They'll barely be able to move in our gravity. We can capture them with minimal casualties." In Russia, General Dmitry distributed the devices to his soldiers. "When their suits fail, remember they are still living beings. Take them prisoner when possible." In Africa, Commander Jabari trained his forces to use the new technology. This will end their advantage. They thought their technology would save them from our gravity. Now that same technology will betray them. On the Nelvarian command ship, Fleet Commander Zorax demanded reinforcements. "We need more soldiers, more ships." The response from the Nelvarian High Command was not what he wanted to hear. "No additional resources will be sent," the High Commander's voice stated coldly. "You already have sufficient forces to conquer a primitive planet. Your failure reflects poor leadership." Zorax's 3 eyes blinked in anger. "The gravity is stronger than our reports indicated. Our soldiers cannot." "Excuses," interrupted the High Commander. "Find a solution or be replaced." The communication ended. Zorax turned to Chief Scientist Melix. "We must succeed. My career and your life depend on it." Melix nodded nervously. "We are adapting our strategies. The humans are resilient, but we have superior technology." Little did they know that their technology was about to become their greatest weakness. As dawn broke over Nebraska, Major Howard and his team approached the alien base and captured Nelvarian transport vehicles. They wore modified alien armor that disguised their human shapes. "Remember," Howard said quietly, "plant the devices near their power generators. Then get out fast." The human counterattack was about to begin. For the first time since the invasion started, Earth was taking the offensive. General Susan Parker stood in the control room of a secret military base beneath the Rocky Mountains. Large screens showed battles around the world. Earth forces were now attacking all Nelvarian positions. "Major Howard's team has entered the Nebraska base," reported an officer. "The disruptors are working. Alien exoskeletons are failing everywhere." On another screen, Parker watched Captain Rodriguez leading her troops in Kansas. The aliens stumbled and fell as their suits stopped working. Without the exoskeletons, they could barely stand in Earth's gravity. Similar scenes played out in Russia and Africa. The Nelvarians were collapsing, unable to fight back. "Now for Phase 2, Parker said. "Prepare our space assault team." In a hangar below, pilots climbed into captured alien ships. These vessels had been modified by Earth engineers. Major Howard had returned from Nebraska with important computer codes that gave them access to Nelvarian systems. Lily Martinez was going too. As the person who discovered the command ship's location, she would guide them there. "I've never been to space before," she told Jack Peterson as she put on a flight suit. "You'll be fine," Jack said. "Just remember your training." The plan was daring. 3 captured alien ships would fly to the moon, where the Nelvarian command vessel was hiding. While smaller and less powerful than Earth would have liked, these ships were all they had. The pilots were the best from air forces around the world. Each had spent weeks learning to fly the alien craft. The ships rose from Earth, accelerating into space. Inside one, Lily watched her home planet grow smaller. "This is amazing," she whispered. The pilot, Air Force Major Sam Cooper, nodded. "Focus on the mission. We're approaching the moon in 20 minutes." In space, Fleet Commander Zorax received alarming reports from Earth. "All ground forces are being captured," reported Captain Drone. "The humans have found a way to disable our exoskeletons." Zorax couldn't believe it. "How? Our technology is far beyond theirs. They've adapted quickly. And now we're detecting 3 of our own ships approaching. They were reported lost in Australia." Zorax realized what was happening. "Those are not our pilots. Prepare for attack." The Nelvarian fleet moved to intercept the approaching ships, but something strange happened. The human pilots flew in ways the aliens couldn't predict. "They're using high-G maneuvers," Chief Scientist Melix said in surprise. "Turns and spins our pilots would never attempt." The human pilots were used to Earth's gravity. The forces they experienced during these extreme maneuvers felt normal to them. But the Nelvarian pilots, evolved in low gravity, couldn't match them. Human-piloted ships danced around the alien vessels, avoiding their weapons fire. The Nelvarians couldn't track them effectively. "Their calculations are wrong," Lily told Major Cooper over the radio. "They're trying to fight as if we're in their gravity conditions." "Then let's use that," Cooper replied. "Even more extreme maneuvers. Push it to the limit." The Earth ships spun and twisted in ways that confused the alien targeting systems. They approached the massive command ship, dodging defensive fire. Major Cooper flew his ship directly into the command ship's landing bay. The doors were open because they had used Nelvarian access codes. "We're in," Cooper reported. "Deploying ground team." 20 soldiers rushed out of the ship, carrying disruptor devices. They met resistance but activated the disruptors immediately. The Nelvarian defenders fell, their exoskeletons useless. Even in the artificial gravity of their own ship, the aliens were at a disadvantage. They had set the gravity to match their homeworld, far too weak for them to effectively fight humans. The Earth soldiers moved through the ship with ease, capturing key areas. Finally, they reached the bridge. Fleet Commander Zorax stood as the doors opened. He tried to lift his weapon, but was too slow. "Surrender," ordered Major Howard, leading the assault team. Zorax looked at the humans in shock. On his own ship, with his own technology, he had been defeated. How? He asked simply. Your bodies evolved in a different world, Howard explained. You're not built for our gravity. All your technology can't change that basic fact. For the first time, Zorax truly understood. The invasion had failed not because of weapons or tactics, but because of the fundamental force that shaped all life on Earth. Gravity had been Earth's greatest defender all along. Fleet Commander Zorax sat in a conference room on Earth. It had been 3 weeks since his capture. The walls around him showed scenes of his homeworld, a courtesy from his human hosts. Across the table sat General Susan Parker and Dr. Kate Miller. The Nelvarian High Command has agreed to our terms, General Parker said. All invasion forces will withdraw immediately. Zorax nodded slowly. His once proud posture was now slightly hunched from weeks in Earth's gravity. A wise decision. This conflict was based on a fundamental error. We would like to establish peaceful relations, Dr. Miller said. There is much our worlds could learn from each other. The High Command agrees, Zorax replied. They have appointed me as diplomat to Earth. An ironic choice, perhaps. Outside the room, Lily Martinez waited nervously. After the successful space mission, she had been offered a new role. General Parker motioned for her to enter. Commander Zorax, this is Lily Martinez, Parker said. She has been selected as Earth's first ambassador to the galactic community. Zorax stood carefully, still unsteady in Earth's gravity. A good choice. Your understanding of our communications helped turn the tide of the conflict. Lily shook his 3-fingered hand. I look forward to learning about your world and others beyond our solar system. Across the globe, the last Nelvarian ships departed. Crowds gathered to watch them rise into the sky. There was no cheering, no celebration. Just quiet relief that the invasion was over. In Australia, Paul Harrison worked with Nelvarian scientists who had chosen to stay on Earth. They studied the effects of different gravity levels on biology and technology. Your species developed in high gravity, a Nelvarian scientist named Kelvo told him. It gives you natural strength and endurance that we lack. But we develop different advantages, better senses, faster reflexes in our natural environment. Paul nodded. We can learn from these differences, maybe develop technologies to help both our species adapt to different worlds. Major Gray Howard supervised the return of captured alien equipment. Some pieces would remain on Earth for study, while others went back to the Nelvarians. Strange to think, he told Captain Rodriguez as they watched crates being loaded onto a Nelvarian ship. A few weeks ago, we were fighting them. Now we're trading technology. War teaches hard lessons, she replied. They learned Earth isn't easy to conquer. We learned we're not alone in the universe. 6 months later, Lily Martinez stood before the Galactic Council. Representatives from 30 different species sat in a chamber designed to accommodate their various needs. Some breathed different air mixtures. Others needed higher or lower gravity sections. Earth would like to join the galactic community, Lily said. We bring our unique perspective as a high-gravity world. The council leader, a tall being with golden skin, replied, After reviewing your application, we welcome Earth as an observer nation. Your species has shown remarkable adaptation and resilience. After the ceremony, Zorax approached Lily. He moved better now in the station's artificial gravity, which was set between Earth's and his homeworlds. Your people have gained a reputation already, he told her. Other species are hiring humans as security consultants and physical trainers. Your natural strength is highly valued. Lily smiled. And we've learned so much about space travel and advanced technology from your people. On Earth, things had changed too. New technologies appeared, developed from alien designs but adapted for human use. International cooperation, forged during the invasion, continued in peaceful pursuits. Dr. Kate Miller now headed the new Xenobiology Institute. Today she was giving a lecture to students from around the world. The Nelvarian invasion taught us an important lesson, she said. What we once saw as normal, our gravity, our atmosphere, our biology, is actually extraordinary in the wider universe. What we took for granted turned out to be our greatest strength. Outside the lecture hall, the night sky looked the same as it always had. But now, humanity knew that among those distant stars were other worlds, other beings, and Earth had earned its place among them. Not through superior technology or weapons, but through the simple force that had shaped all life on the planet since the beginning. Gravity, Earth's oldest ally and strongest defender.